What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well. The government is lying about inflation. This is painfully obvious. Give me 5 minutes and I will break this down easier than you can make some pancakes. So let's get this started. And I'm going to keep this super simple because it's KISS Finance. So let's get started. Okay, so the government CPI report that came out in March for the month of February. So every month it comes out a month later because it has to, the government has to aggregate all the data, put it all together, compile the report. So it always comes out a month later. So the February CPI report came out in March, and this is it. The Bureau of Labor Statistics puts it together. And for the month of February, they had shelter at 4.7%. Right here, you can see it. Now, I put together some data from Zillow and Redfin. Zillow and Redfin are the same thing. They're real estate online services. You can look up real estate prices. You can find rental properties. You can sell your house. And because of this, Redfin and Zillow compile and have all of this data from all of the different services that they provide. And because of this, they're able to aggregate all of it, and they can come up with their own inflation reports. So these are the inflation reports, according to Zillow, for the month of February over the past year. The average is 17%, right here, 17%. Just a reminder, the government's saying it's 4.7, and they have it at 17%. Redfin has it, and I wasn't able to compile the data and put it into an Excel spreadsheet because I couldn't figure out how to download it. I don't know if you're able to. But you can go to this website, redfin.com/news/data-center/ come down here to data table, and you're able to see the average rent year over year increases and decreases. Anaheim, California, 10%. Atlanta, Georgia, 17%. Austin, Texas, 40%. Baltimore, Maryland, 10%. Boston, Massachusetts, 20%. North Carolina, Charlotte, 7.5%. Chicago, Illinois, 4.5%. Cincinnati, Ohio, 22%. This just keeps going and going. Look at all of this. 16, 14.5, 16, 35, 15.5, 35, 35, 14, 26. There's a couple of small ones in here and some that are negative, but the vast majority, 18, 19, 18, 16, 28%, 3.3% in St. Louis. Virginia Beach, Virginia, 16.2%. Warren, Michigan, 8.2, Washington, D.C., 12.4, West Palm Beach, Florida, 30. And the government is saying that it's 4.7. And now this is super important because according to the whitehouse.gov, shelter makes up nearly a third of the basket for CPI inflation and 40% of the basket for core CPI that excludes the volatile food and energy components. So you'll hear a lot of economists and government officials say that, oh, core CPI is, more accurate because it doesn't include all these volatile prices. But that's a load of crap because those volatile food prices and energy components, average Americans pay for every single day. Those are the vast majority, excluding probably this rental. Those are our main expenses month to month: food and gas and housing. Those are, so to cut out food and energy is stupid. But when you hear about that 7.9% that's been, being thrown around, it's gone up to like 3, 4, 5, 6. Now it's at 7.9% for February. Shelter makes up a third of that report. And instead of reporting it at 15%, like, Redfin and Zillow, and I couldn't come up with the average on Redfin because I wasn't able to extract the data. But instead of having it at approximately 15%, like Zillow does, and Redfin would probably be pretty close if you just remember those numbers I was just reading out, they have it at 4.7. Where is it? 4.7% right here. Boom, 4.7. And that accounts for a third of this CPI report, of this entire CPI report. It's a third, and it's underreported by 10%. Now, a lot of people might be saying, why would they do this? Well, over 50 million Social Security beneficiaries and military and federal civil service retirees have cost of living adjustments tied to the CPI. So what that means is that Social Security, lots of retiree benefits for people in the military and say you worked for the post office for 30 years, you got your pension is tied to the consumer price index, which is fair because, the government owes you a certain amount of money. And if inflation kicks in, then, they should have to make up for the difference. And if the government underreports what the CPI is, they don't have to pay these 50 million people as much money. So, they have huge, not only that, but actually, I'll just pull this up real quick. Peru inflation protests. These just kicked off the other day. Peru orders curfew in capital over violent inflation protests. So this is why governments do not want that inflation number reading very high, because people get pissed and they get pissed quick. And when they do, things get really bad. So the government has a huge incentive to report the CPI as low as they possibly can. But it's just, you can just go on, look at Zillow, and Zillow doesn't have all of these incentives to underreport what they have. They have a duty to their customers. And if their customers are saying, hey, you're giving us all this crap data, we're not going to use your platform anymore. So they have, responsibility to their customers to say the truth, to tell the truth. And the government doesn't, they're not beholden to anybody. And not only that, but they want people to think that everything's going well, because if people start realizing that prices are going up a lot higher than the government's saying, it gets ugly. So I hope that clears some stuff up about, maybe why you're thinking or feeling more increases in prices. You're like, I don't know, my dollar's just not stretching as much month to month. I feel like it's harder. I feel like my prices have gone up more than 7.9% year over year. And maybe you haven't thought that, maybe you just kind of feel a little bit more stretched month to month. Well, this is why, because this number is total garbage. So I hope that helps. I know it's not fun to hear, but it doesn't pay off to put your head in the sand. And actually, the last thing I wanted to say was I listened to this guy, Peter Schiff. And if you don't know who Peter Schiff is, I recommend listening to his podcast. If you like Bitcoin, you're not going to like him. He's been anti-Bitcoin ever since 2011. But he gets, I think the best thing about Peter Schiff is he gives really, really great analogies for complex things that really, really easy to understand. Anyone can understand his analogies. And when he talks about the CPI report, he's like, it's basically like sending your kid to college for a whole semester, paying 20 grand to do it. And then at the end of the semester, you say to your kid, hey, you write your report card and bring it home. And I'm not going to talk to your teachers. Just give me the report card. I'll take it at face value. Just please be honest. Some kids are going to be honest, but the vast majority are going to be like, hey, mom and dad, I got all A's. I got, 2 B's, and these were only in the subjects that I don't like. And that's what the government's doing. They compile all this data. They're the ones that are responsible for the expenses if it goes up. So they have this huge incentive to lie about it. And that's exactly what they're doing. So it's like sending your kid off to school and letting them write their own report card. It doesn't make any sense. So I hope that analogy helped as well. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Let me know what you like about this video, what you don't like, and subscribe, comment. And until next time, stay safe. Remember, nothing's really all that complicated. You can find most things online. And this is KISS Finance. I'll try to keep everything super simple. And until next time, see you later. See ya. Bye.